Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? Can you hear me fine? I want to check my audio before I go any further. I'm using a new webcam tonight. Hopefully the quality is a little better than it has been, and hopefully the sound is working out all right. So I want to do a quick sound check if everybody can hear me. I'll type in. Howdy, Animus. So I want to make sure my sound is working good before I start, getting into anything. Awesome. I've been playing around with the quality. I got this new webcam, playing around with it a little bit, trying to find what's going to work best for YouTube. I know my last webcam was sort of, not too good. This one is supposed to be a lot better. It's supposed to be broadcasting in Ultra HD right now. To me, it looks a little grainy on my side, but I guess until I get it figured out and get all these settings on it set correctly, I got to make do with it. What's up, Justin from Oklahoma? Glad you're here. All right. First, I want to talk a little bit about the channel before we get into some things. And a lot of people saw, the gold and silver commercials that I had posted. The last three, I think I posted them all yesterday. And I did that, just to be completely honest, that's a paid commercial for me. So it's not like I'm trying to push anything on anybody, but you got to take that payday when it comes too. Don't know how else to say it other than that. What's up, Homestead, Australia? It's good to see you. All right. So, those, they do offer some pretty good deals, but like I said, that's a paid promotion. I just want everybody to know that. So just know that I'm not trying to, push products on you or things like that. I simply get paid to make commercials sometimes, which leads me to something interesting I'm going to talk about a little bit later. I think anybody that enjoys the channel, you're going to love this. You're going to absolutely love it because I was blown away by it. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later, and it's something that's upcoming. It's something that's really exciting for me. But first, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things really quick. I got a new video that'll be coming out this week. And the reason I'm making this video is I'm taking sort of a step back with it is because when we use terms like SHTF, apocalyptic scenario, it always brings to mind the same kind of thing. At least for me, it brings to mind like, total chaos, total anarchy, or the world's, halfway destroyed and population is 90% decimated or something like that. But I've got a video that'll be coming out this week talking about the different types of SHTF because there are completely different types. An economic collapse is absolutely 100% different than a nuclear war. What we could expect in the aftermath is what I mean. So I want to get more into that, especially on the nuclear side with what I got to talk about coming up. Hopefully everybody will be as excited about this as I am. I'm very excited about it. But that video, it'll be out before the end of the week. I got a class online this week, so I'll be pretty tied up over the next couple of days. But after that, hopefully I'll be able to knock this out and get it out before the weekends. And it's going to break down the different types of SHTF into different categories and to what we can expect. You got your like environmental, your super volcano, your meteor impact, things like that. And then you got your man-made disasters. Your man-made disasters, nuclear war, nuclear meltdowns, and economic collapse, those different types of things. But they all bring something different. Our basic skill set and our basic preps will help us survive in any situation. But there are some situations that, you're going to have special gear and specialized skill sets for. What's up, Prepper Trucking? It's good to see you, brother. Hello, Frontier Preppers from Alaska. I feel like I'm in Alaska right now. We got about 1.5 feet of snow on the ground up here. And me being from South Carolina, that's something sort of new to me. I guess up there in Alaska, you see that all the time, though, don't you? Vancouver, Vincent. Got a lot of snow up there in Vancouver right now. Washington State, I assume. Freedom for all. Yeah. All right. Oh, you did got a lot. Wow, it's 34 right now. Dang. It was cold last week. It's warming up a little this week, but we had like I don't know what the exact official count was, but I know in my front yard when my son shoveled the snow, because I didn't shovel it, they shoveled it. But after they shoveled the snow, it was almost up to my knee. And, I'm over 6 foot tall. So that's pretty deep snow. I was like, dang, that's a lot of snow. I never really had to deal with that. Weather's at 9 degrees, no snow. Wow, that's cold. Oh, negative 34 now. I'm sorry. I thought it said 34. Negative 34. Is that your wind chill going on up there? Dang, man. That's cold. That's cold, brother. All right. All right. I want to talk a little bit about tonight, some of the things we're going to get into. I want to look at the executive orders that have been passed over the last few days. There haven't been as many over the last few days as there were in, the initial days of the new administration. But we're going to just go over those briefly because they're pretty much self-explanatory. We see where a lot of that's heading. But one thing that we need to take into account is coming up very soon. The Supreme Court is going to vote on whether or not the police have the right, whether it would violate our Fourth Amendment, if the police have the right to come into your home to search for guns and to take them. This is very serious. This opens up so many doors. And this is something that I'm really I'm concerned about, is because if the Supreme Court does not shoot this down, if the Supreme Court allows this to pass, then our Fourth Amendment, our protection against illegal search and seizure is gone. All it takes is someone saying, my neighbor has guns, my neighbor has guns he shouldn't have, something to that effect. And the police then can just pull up to my front yard, search my home, and confiscate my weapons, and most likely take me to jail too. So this is something that really concerns me, and we need to keep a very close eye on. It's coming in front of the Supreme Court within a month. So we've got to really keep a close eye on this. It's going to be, that's going to be something that changes. It can change history. I mean, that can change the entire course of America, just that one law. Because what we have to think about is this. If the Supreme Court says, well, under the community protection, where the police are allowed to do certain things because they think it's better for the community, that they're allowed to come in and search for guns. Well, what's next? Are they going to come in and look at my computer and see if I've been going to, websites they don't like and things like that? This is going to lead to so much more. Hopefully this will get shot down in the Supreme Court. Hopefully this will get reversed, because it was passed. It was passed, and I believe it was in Rhode Island. I'm going to have to look back at that. I don't want to say for sure, but I believe it was in Rhode Island is why the Supreme Court is seeing that now. And if the police or any government agency are allowed to come into your home and to simply search it without a warrant and to seize whatever they deem necessary, where are we then? I mean, where are we then? A lot of people are worried about the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, and I'm worried about all that too. But when they take away this one, the Fourth Amendment, our protection against illegal search and seizure, then the rest of them aren't going to matter, because that gives them the right to come into your home and take anything that they think you're a danger with. That could be your kitchen knives. That could be your firearm collection. That could be your antique firearms. It could be anything. We've already heard Biden say that if Congress doesn't do something about gun control coming up very soon, that he's going to pass some executive orders that take care of that for him. And from what we see right now, he has no problem with passing the executive orders. Well, that's a strong word, pass, signing the executive orders. Yeah, it would be the start of the end. Always survive. You're right, because they, without having to have a warrant, you're looking at basically, a lot of people don't realize this, but you're looking at I hate to make the comparison, but Nazi Germany, they didn't have to have a warrant. They just had to have, hey, I'm going to go search this house. I think this person had guns. The neighbor told me they did, or they had something. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. We're seeing everything going away one by one, and it's bit by bit. And before long, we're going to see the dramatic impact of this, because what's going to happen is we're going to wake up one day, 6 months, 9 months from now, however long that may be, and we're going to realize at that moment, it's going to be like an eye-opening experience. We're going to realize they took it all away. They took it all away. They took it step by step, process by process, one by one. They eroded our rights, and now we're left with nothing. Now we're left with, I agree with the government, or I don't agree with the government, and I'm going to jail or to a camp of some type. So this is that one thing is very concerning, because if they pass that right, I think it's called community protection, community standards. I talked about it on the last live stream and my last video, and that's something that's really scary, because all that takes is somebody in my community to say, this guy may be a threat. Maybe it's because of what I say on YouTube. Maybe it's because I own a gun. Maybe it's because I own a sword. Who knows? But the fact remains that they're not going to have a warrant. They're going to come knocking on my door, and they're going to push me to the side, and they're going to search my house and take what they want. And that's what we're looking at with this executive order. Not executive order, but this Supreme Case Court. This is going before the Supreme Court very soon, within a month. And it's something that we need to, I don't know that getting involved with it's going to change anything. And that's one of the disheartening things about this is, for a lot of y'all out there, just like myself, I'm not exactly a spring chicken. So I grew up in this country a long time ago. 1970, I was born, and I lived through the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up till now. And anybody that's been around a little while, you're looking around, you're seeing that things are being taken from us one by one. It was much slower in the past, but now it's happening one executive order at a time, one case at a time, and things are being taken from us. All right, I don't want to get tied up too much on that. A very interesting article I read today. All right, I'm going to ask a question, and I want people to comment on this before I go further on this. What do you think about 5G? 5G. What do you think about 5G? And let's see what anybody says. 1963, Yankee Watchdog. Anybody heard anything about 5G? The 5G networks, the 5G towers, all that, how it could be dangerous. And, just for the record, for people that say that 5G isn't dangerous, then they do not understand electromagnetic energy. I'm not saying 5G, is the end of the world, but I'm saying that any electromagnetic energy with the right wavelength, the right frequency is dangerous, and it's been proven. And yeah, free and for all, you're right. It's fine, but it's dangerous. And this is what a lot of people, let me put it like this. A lot of the videos, because I watch videos on YouTube a lot of the videos, they talk about how 5G is going to kill everybody. And, it's going to do all this and do all that. And that's just not really going to happen. If I have a 5G tower in my backyard, yes, I'm going to get cancer. Yes, I'm going to suffer. But 5G signal from a cell phone tower, 10 miles from me is not going to affect me one bit. And that's just electromagnetic energy. That's just the way it works. The closer you are to the source of the electromagnetic energy, then the more damage that will occur to you as an individual. But the reason I brought this up was not because I want to debate 5G. I don't want to debate that. Apple, everybody's favorite company, Apple, came out with a press release. I'm going to say today, it might have been the last few days, but they want to get ahead of the game. They are hiring engineers right now to develop the 6G network. Can you believe that? The 6G already. So, that's what Apple's doing right now is they're hiring they're hiring software engineers, they're hiring hardware engineers, they're hiring, scientists to help develop the 6G network to help them, quote, get ahead of the game. All right, what game? You guys are broadcasting. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. They talk about you'll get faster cell phone speed. Shit, my cell phone's pretty fast. I don't know about anybody else out there. I don't think I need anything faster. If it was faster, it would be reading my mind. I mean, I can pretty much do what I want to do at the time I want to do it with modern technology. So this 6G network, I think, is a little more concerning than the 5G network was. 5G is dangerous if you're close up on it. But that's the same with 4G. That's the same with any electromagnetic radiation. If you're close to the source, it's going to hurt you. It's going to cause long-term effects. It just simply is. All right. So Apple is developing the 6G network. All right. Next thing I want to talk a little bit about, because I'm not sure if you've heard all the details on this or not, but it's the new COVID-19 stimulus package that's coming out pretty soon. It's being billed as the American people are going to get $1,400 or however much, depending on how many kids you got and all that. And it sounds like such a great thing, but let me read off what some of that money is going to right here. All right. Among the provisions of the $1,400 stimulus checks are that the fact that they will also go to undocumented immigrants. Okay. And I'm not trying to, I don't want to get into a huge debate on immigration here tonight, but I will say this, just to be plain and simple, like Homestead Australia, my friend, it would not be right for me to file a claim with the Australian government for my own unemployment, or just like anybody. And sorry, I wasn't picking on you there. I really wouldn't, but I'm just saying, you have to be a citizen of the country to gain the benefits of the country is the way I thought it. I can't draw unemployment in South Carolina because I live in Michigan now and I'm employed, but I'm just saying I couldn't draw unemployment in California because I've never lived there, but yet people can illegally cross the border and get this huge stimulus. And there's even more on that. All right. That's one of them. But another one is it allows Planned Parenthood to receive the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, that was designed to keep, small businesses in business. But now $600 million are going to Planned Parenthood to help them keep people in, at work. Now, that the bill also includes $100 million for the Silicon Valley Underground Rail Project. And looking here, what this project is it's called BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's basically a subway system underneath. It's basically a subway system underneath Silicon Valley. And you're talking $100 million in a COVID stimulus package that's being set aside for an underground subway system between Silicon Valley, between the same ones that are funding, the person that's in the White House. Another thing it says is the memo also calls out subsidies and loan forgiveness on the basis of race and ethnicity. It allows coronavirus funding to go to colleges that have partnerships with Chinese-controlled companies and Confucius institutes. And another $50 million for environmental justice grant programs. All of which are somewhat, not described. And when it comes to the environmental justice programs, they're not described. It's pretty much a blank slate on that. It's pretty much anybody who wants to stand up and say, oh, the environment's in danger, maybe I can get a grant. Well, And this is actually, this is all wrapped up in a COVID stimulus package. They're trying to push this and say that, we're helping you with $1,400 plus what, $600 per kid or something to that effect. But at the same time, we're giving hundreds of millions for Silicon Valley to create an underground transit system for themselves. We're setting aside millions upon millions, hundreds of millions to Planned Parenthood and also to Chinese affiliated colleges in the US. So, I mean, where is this money really going? I mean, that's the question we got to ask, because a lot of people look at it and say, well, it doesn't matter. I want to get my $1,400, but it does matter, because your taxes that you pay this year, next year, the year after that are what's going to pay for this. $1.9 trillion. The government don't have that. Look how far in debt we are right now. This is money that they're borrowing. And you got to ask yourself, who are they borrowing this money from? Who are they borrowing this money from? I guarantee you the majority of it, and I can't prove this, but my opinion here, China. The majority of it's from China. I bet you it is. Freedom Inc. You're right, man. All these problems have happened because of us. Because most of the people in the U.S. sit back, and I'm guilty too. I'm going to blame myself, because I'm guilty of this too. For the last 10 years, last 20 years, I've sat back and I've said my country will take care of itself. I did my time. I fought in a couple of wars. I did my part. And now I'm just going to, live my life. And I didn't participate in a lot of things I should have participated in. And a lot of Americans are guilty of that. We sat back and let other people take control of our country. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And the real question is, has it gone so far that we can get it back? Has it gone far enough that we can get it back? Prepper Trucking, China and the Rothschilds. Amen. You're right about that. Justin, yeah. Illegal aliens can cross the borders, but yet cities are still in lockdown. I had a pretty good conversation today with one of my coworkers. Well, if you want to call it a conversation, talking about the lockdowns and talking about how effective they are. And he was like, well, the lockdowns worked. And I said, well, according to your statistics, I don't believe a lot of the numbers I read, but according to that, they didn't work, because we got 500,000 deaths, millions and millions of cases. But yet you want to tell me that the lockdowns worked? He said, well, look at the other countries. I said, man, don't tell me about the other countries unless you've been there, because all we see is TV. All we see is news on TV from sources we cannot trust. When's the last time that you've trusted the news you watch? And what's even more disturbing about that is for people that have been around 4 or 5 decades. Think back to when you were a kid growing up and you watched the news and you took that as fact. Do you think they were telling facts back then, or they were spewing the same BS that they're spewing now? How much did we grow up on that was fake? How much? Yeah, downward slope. Always survive. I hear you. It looks and feels like a downward slope. It really does. I mean, where do we go from here? And that's the real question, is where do we go from here? And when we look at our government, we see that our votes don't count. I mean, just whether you're Democrat or Republican, there's no arguing that. Your votes don't count. It all boils down to who's got the most money or who's got the most pull. And we really are in a tough spot right now. We're in history. And what I mean by that is we are going to be remembered, just like the Civil War was remembered, just like the Revolutionary War was remembered. This is a time that if the world survives, if our nation survives, then we will be remembered for what happens or what does not happen right now. It's $27 trillion deficit. $27 trillion deficit. Where is the federal government going to get the money to do that? There's only 2 ways. One, to tax us out of existence or to borrow it from foreign governments. They can't keep continuing borrowing money. They can't keep going into deficit. I mean, if they keep on borrowing, we're going to collapse. And that's what we're seeing right now. And the same guy I had a discussion with today, we carried that discussion on a little further, and he was trying to tell me, it's like middle class businesses aren't hurt. And obviously you can tell which side of the spectrum he's leaning towards when he's saying stuff like that. But, middle class is the one it's against. We are the ones that are targeted here. Whether it was intentional, accidental, or a plan, I mean, who knows right now? We will know in the end. But the thing is, it's the middle class people. It's people that work for a living that are getting hurt right now. It's not the millionaires. Walmart had almost a record profit this year. Walmart. And I can't stand Walmart. I mean, honestly, I hate going in there because I'll tell you why I hate going in there is because I hate going in there paying them my money and having to check myself out because they never have any cashiers and I got to go through the self-checkout. Not being lazy, but just saying, I'm paying you for this. You could at least put it in a bag for me. But yet Walmart, watch, in another year, there will be nobody working that front of Walmart. You'll be checking yourself out every single time. And then, they'll be bragging about, we raised our minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, of course you did. You fired everybody. There's no cashiers. All you got is a couple of stock boys in back and everybody checking themselves out. It's absolutely ridiculous. Senile Travel, Florida. What's up? Weather's nice down there from what I saw earlier today. Yeah, the world's headed toward a crazy place. The world is headed toward a crazy place. And it really is. All right. I got some really good news about the channel, something that for me personally is very exciting. And I was contacted about a week and a half ago by a company called EQ Media Group. And they make documentaries and they make series like, like Survivor series, things like that, people surviving in the wild and different types of documentaries, very professional company. And when they contacted me at first, I was like, well, this would be great. But I spoke to them today and they want to do a series, which is like a competition. And this is based on like a nuclear war scenario. It's based on like a nuclear war, nuclear meltdown scenario to where you're in an irradiated area and you've got to escape that area and you've got to get to a bunker, a safe location. And I interviewed with them and I spoke with them. And as long as everything passes through the networks, then I will be the face of that production. I'll be the host of that production. And it's going to be shot in Chernobyl. Okay, so it's going to be shot in Chernobyl. And basically, there'll be two teams. And these teams will be dropped off in the red forest close to the irradiated zone. So you're going to have to be able to use a map and compass to keep yourself safe. And those two teams will have to compete against each other to get to a safe location, which is a bunker that will be many, many miles away. So it'll take them days, if not a couple weeks to get there. And it's going to be a very interesting show. And they contacted me and I spoke with them. I interviewed with them about this and I did some lines and all today with them on camera. And so hopefully this series will be coming out pretty soon. And maybe this old fella here will be the host of it. And the focus of it is, nuclear war and how to survive this type of scenario. And for those that's been watching my channel a lot, that nuclear war is one of the things I talk about the most. I mean, one of my degrees is in, physics, which is focused on nuclear physics. And I've written a lot of papers on it. And it's crazy as it sounds, I really enjoy reading and talking and writing about that subject. So this is going to be something extremely exciting. It's going to be on one of the major networks. It's not like a YouTube documentary. It's going to be like on the History Channel. So check it out. I will definitely keep more post up on the channel talking about that. And, we're going to be looking for about 8 to 10 more people to join in on this. Anybody interested, let me know. And, but I think it's going to be an extremely valuable challenge for me as a prepper. And the reason is because, you know, I was in the military. I trained. I've been in Desert Storm, the Panamanian Civil War. So, you know, I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different things. But one of the things I've never had to do is navigate a terrain and avoid a radioactive zone to make it to a safe location. And this is my chance. And it's going to be really cool. At least I think. Hopefully I won't get irradiated and grow like a third arm or something. But, you know, who knows? That just helps me hold an extra cup of coffee is the way I look at it. I do have a Geiger counter, Hashim. I got several. That's something I probably should get in another video, but I want to point out, I really want to point this out, is because there's a lot of misconceptions about how a Geiger counter can keep you safe. But most of the Geiger counters on the market, 90% of the Geiger counters on the market were what people call Geiger counters, are technically termed as radiation detectors. They do not detect the most significant radiation out there, and that's alpha particles. When we talk about a radioactive environment, we really are focused on 4 different types of radioactive, you know, waveforms. And that is your alpha particles, which are given off during the disintegration of a radioactive isotope. And then you have your beta particles, same process. Gamma rays, X-rays. All right. Gamma rays and X-rays are short-lived. They're extremely fast, extremely powerful. And as long as you're not within the close proximity of this explosion or of this initial detonation of the device, then that's not going to be your primary concern. What you're going to have to worry about are the actual particles, the alpha and beta particles that are distributed throughout the environment through wind patterns, through rain, through things like that. Now, going back to what I was saying about the radiation detectors. Most radiation detectors brag how good they are, and they're all good. I've got a lot of them, and every single one of them work. But I've only got one that detects alpha particles. And the reason for this is alpha particles cannot penetrate your outer layer of skin. If I got like, you know, thousands of alpha particles on my skin right here, you know, maybe some irradiated dust that had alpha particles in it, it would not penetrate my skin. But you have to ask yourself, what if those alpha particles landed on this apple over here? And I scan that apple with my radiation detector and I don't pick anything up and I eat that apple. Well, now I got alpha particles inside of my body and they will damage you there. And that's what makes them damaging, is that most things do not pick up alpha. Most things do not pick up alpha. They pick up beta, gamma, X-ray, and they don't pick up alpha. I'll tell you how you can tell. Let me see. All right, well, I don't got it close by, but your radiation detector, on the back of your radiation detector, there will be a screen, a cutout in the plastic or metal housing that has a screen to a thin film. It literally looks like a piece of film. And you'll see that on the back of it, it'll be a cutout. If you don't have that cutout on the back of it, it's not detecting alpha. And that's good for a lot of things. If I'm just passing through an area, that's great because I'm just passing through. But if I'm passing through an area that's 200 miles long or 200 miles wide, then I'm going to have to stop and eat and drink somewhere along through there. And if I can't detect alpha by the time I get to the end of it, I'm going to be hurting. Alpha will hurt you from the inside because we ingest the things that alpha falls on, because our detectors normally don't detect them. Beta, my detector will detect it and I would not eat that food. But alpha, if it doesn't detect it, people are going to pick that food up and eat it. And we're going to be going a lot more in depth in that. And I'm actually going to put out another video talking about the difference, because there's too many places online that are saying, buy this radiation detector. It'll keep you safe. And truthfully, if it does not detect all 4, it's not keeping you safe. So be really careful about that. All right. Gonna do a couple of things tonight. Gonna run through this list I have of good barter items, but I'm gonna talk about why before, and then after that, gonna do a little impromptu giveaway, because I've been going through a lot of my gear. I'm trying to downsize my gear of things that I have multiples. I mean, multiples of. So I got a couple of nice little, or, a good little lot I'm going to put together, and somebody out there is going to get that tonight. But first, I want to get into this next and talk about barter items. Barter items. Now, there's a lot of controversy, believe it or not, when it comes to barter items. And one of the main controversies is, some people will say you're not going to get the chance to barter. People are going to rob you. Maybe, and if they do rob me, then I'm not worried about bartering. But, most likely if they rob me and take my stuff, I'm probably going to be dead because I'm probably going to fight back. And I think a lot of people out there in that same boat. When it comes to barter, what I'm focused on this list right here is I went to about 35 different websites today. And I compiled what I consider, the most accurate, almost 50 items. So I'm going to read through these fairly quick. Some of them will elaborate on, but hopefully this will give people the, some little ideas, things that might be worth money or whatever. Because as a prepper, I don't just prep things I know I'm going to use, but I also prep things. I also store things I know I'm not going to use that other people will want, because that will get me more of the things I use in the future when I can't get them. So barter is going to be very important. And I think it's going to be very important in an economic collapse. And I'm not talking about a recession. I'm talking about something severe, something that changes the world, something that, is really, life-changing for everybody, and that lasts for a long time, not something that lasts for 6 months or a year. So I'm going to read through these. And remember, these are the top nearly 50. I think it's 48 is what I got on my list of what I've compiled from multiple websites. And most of these make sense. So let me know in the comments what you think about some of these. Some of these may not seem like it, but just because I don't find an item valuable doesn't mean the next person to me is going to think the same way. So a lot of these items will have value to other people when they don't have value to me. Number one, I think we learned this lesson over the past year: toilet paper. Toilet paper is going to be a very, very valuable item. Number two, also toothbrushes and toothpaste. After a while, when we start talking about an economic collapse and we start talking about bartering, we're not talking about bartering tomorrow. If the stock market crashes today, I'm not standing out there in front of my house with toothbrushes and toothpaste trying to trade. We're talking on down the line, And a couple of things to remember too is never barter alone and never barter unarmed. Another thing that will come in handy during a barter situation, tampons. Feminine hygiene products. These are going to be in demand. That's not going to stop because the economy collapsed. Grooming supplies, razors. You see, with me, I don't have much need for a razor, but I sure would like, some other grooming supplies, brushes, combs, little things like that. A lot of these things do not sound like they're valuable, but if someone comes to you and they want to barter and they've got something you need, maybe you can combine several of these categories to get what you need. I always stock things I don't use because I don't want to trade the things I use. I want to trade the things I don't use. If I trade the things I use, I'm hurting. So we said number 4, grooming supplies. Number 5, condoms and birth control. Believe it or not, just because the world ends doesn't mean, certain things are going to stop. And number 6, extending upon that, pregnancy test. In an economic collapse, people are still going to need the same things they need now. And that's what's important to remember. The same things we need today are the same things that we're going to need if the economy exists, if the economy is booming, if the economy collapses. It really doesn't matter because these are needs that, most people have. Number 7 is tools. And when I say tools, this is a sort of a broad category for me. And when I say tools, I also want to include what I would consider self-defense items in this, like knives, fixed blade knives, repair tools, all that. Yep. And so any kind of tools that you can make home repairs with, that you can work on a vehicle with, that, would benefit someone in, any type of situation like that. Because when we talk about an economic collapse, this isn't like an EMP that took place over my house that all of my gear is fried. Everything still works. You just don't have money to pay for the subscriptions, to pay for the services, because the economy's collapsed. So all of our devices would still be functional in an economic collapse. The question is, could we afford to use them? Could I afford to use my cell phone? Could I afford to put gas in my car? Which is another one on here. Number 8, first aid supplies. And this category is basically first aid supplies only. I'm not talking about medicine. That's actually the next category. Because no matter what happens, if I lose my job, I know that my kids, my family, me, we lose insurance. We lose our insurance. So when there's a minor cut, when there's something that needs to be stitched up, when there's some antibiotics that need to be applied, when there's things like that, then, I'm going to have to do that at home, because I don't have a few $100s to take them to the doctor, because we know how doctors are. If you don't got cash walking into that office without insurance, you're not going to get seen. Which brings us to number 9, medicine, painkillers. I know that this is not going to be possible for a lot of people. A lot of people do not have access to prescription medication, but even over-the-counter medication, this is going to help out. This is going to be something that you can trade with to get whatever goods you need. Number 10, one of my personal favorites, and this is one of the most debatable ones out there, or at least I get cussed out more in the comments, on YouTube here when I talk about this, but gold and silver. When it comes to an economic collapse, gold and silver are going to hold their value. Whether, it doesn't matter who believes that or not, but history has shown that throughout our entire history as human beings, except for the caveman days, people have valued gold and silver. So even if you don't value it, somebody next door will. And with an economic collapse, we're not looking at this like a nuclear disaster where 99% of the population is wiped out. We're looking at this like the entire population is still here. So my gold and silver, even though they're not worth a whole lot today, will be worth something tomorrow when the economy begins to rise again. Because at some point with an economic collapse, it has to rise again, or otherwise we're going to end up in a global war. Gas. And when I say gas, I'm also talking about